I am delighted to welcome you all to today's Market Access session hosted by Hackquarters by Tenity. I am Esengül. I am working as a program director here at Hackquarters. I'm responsible for all of the programs, managing and coordination of the programs. Before I introduce you with our great speakers today, let me tell you about the concept and the session that we're going to do today. We are organizing these event series in specific markets for a while. Since today, we organized many sessions for different markets as well, such as Finland, UK, Canada, USA, and in the Eastern Europe, MENA as well. So, with those sessions, we are trying to make the visibility and also awareness of how to expand the different markets, how to create new businesses in different markets and understand the scopes, working conditions, the perks over there. So today we will also try to give you the perspective of USA and Canada market accesses. So we gathered some of the brightest minds and innovators from various sectors to discuss and explore the market access and understand how effectively penetrate new markets, how to navigate, how to deal with all the legal financial stuffs. And we will also be mentioning some governmental and also some private supports and businesses as well. So our agenda for today is quite packed. So we will have insightful discussions and presentations with aiming you to provide the valuable knowledge, tools, and strategies to enhance your market strategy capabilities. So whether you are an entrepreneur looking to expand your business into new countries, a startup seeking to scale your operations, or an industry professional interested in learning more about the market access trends and opportunities, today's sessions are just for you. Today's session is just for you. So we will have fantastic speakers today, experts who will be sharing their expertise and experiences throughout the session. I strongly encourage you to actively participate as well. You can ask your questions in the Q&A panel session too, and also just drop them in the chat so we can see it during the session and answer after the meeting as well. So Eren, just drop one in the chat so you can leverage that actually. So right now, I mean, we started with welcoming, but I will have like small introduction for Hackquarters by Tenity, for Tenity and Hackquarters as well. So I will be telling you more about like what we do, how we do before and right now. So after that, we will have Ben on the stage, which I mean, he's really great on his field, by the way. So we will hear his experiences and his knowledge on the Canadian markets, the landscape, and also for the opportunities. So you will be hearing the presentation, you will be seeing the presentation, and then we will have the USA presentation from Erdem Mümtaz, one of the co-founders of Klemta. I think he's doing the business for a while. He will be enlighten us for the USA market and like how to expand there. So we will be hearing him as well. And after all those presentations, we will have a Q&A session. Eren, our program manager, will be managing it with Erdem and Ben. So you can ask like all of your questions and everything in those sessions as well. So let's go to our accelerator, what we do, how we do. So we are basically a startup accelerator and corporate innovation partner, which means that we are partnering with corporations, with the big corporations that I will be sharing in other slides as well. And we are designing acceleration program for startups. So in those acceleration programs, we are helping startups to grow their businesses in different fields. They can get some trainings, mentorships, partnership opportunities from those acceleration programs. So we are a manager, let's say, and also designer of those programs. We are based in London and Istanbul. We were selected as one of the best corporate accelerator in Eastern Europe and Turkey in 2019 by Crunchbase. So until today, since today, we manage more than 120 programs with a 94% satisfaction rate from the startups. And also those programs were not only Turkey and Europe focused. We were delivering these programs for the different countries and different locations, let's say. And to those programs, more than 30,000 startups applied. And we are really proud of our numbers in here as well, because we had chance to work with great corporates here, really valuable corporates that brought their partnerships, their values to those startups as well. So until today, we achieved really good numbers and stories as well. In our pool, in our community, let's say, we have more than 600 mentors, founders, and experts in specific fields, like even you can't imagine some of the topics and some of the expertise, because I mean, since we are working with different partners, verticals, mentors, investors, I mean, we have the ability to reach out really valuable people from different sectors. So we gathered all of them in our pool, and they are helping our startups as well. And also in our pool, we have more than 400 investors, VCs, and angels, which we are also making the introductions and the first connections with the program startups and with them. So if, I mean, according to their interest, they can invest, they can even provide some mentorships for the startup. So this basically the whole structure of the community. And since then until today, we provided $300,000 perks to startups to grow their businesses. And also with our pool, we reached out more than 200 corporations and organizations. So to look at the Tenity part, I mean, you probably saw it in my title as well. We are Hackquarters by Tenity right now. We are not just Hackquarters because we merged with Tenity in the last months of last year, in December. So I'm also proud to share this information with you as well, because with Tenity, we are now a bigger corporation. We are now a bigger organization. They are a Swiss based, Swiss-backed company. So they're also founded in 2015 with the mission of helping startups and leading the global innovation ecosystem, building the startup ecosystem in the Europe as well. So they also completed and they also made really great programs as well, and they achieved really great successes as well. They were selected as one of the most successful accelerators from CB Insights. So too, so we are now more powerful, like as a whole team as well, in different countries, in different verticals. So after now on, we will be working as one team as Tenity. So if you're also interested in to get to know more about the Tenity and its programs, please feel free to ask and drop questions in the chat, so we can also discuss about that as well. So I would like to introduce you with Ben, who is a startup advisor, partner, and investor at Innova in Canada right now. He will be explaining more detailed version about himself and about the Canadian market and about what they do, basically. So Ben, I will leave the mic to you right now. Are you here?
Yes. Well,
Perfect.
thank you all for attending today. I'm so excited for the session. It's actually a session that I've been waiting for over the past few months, not even weeks. And thanks to the team for organizing this and putting this together. Hackquarters did a good job putting this together, and my excitement is to the roof. And so, hello and welcome everyone to our market access expanding into U.S. and Canada in particular. In today's session, the aim of our session and mine in particular is to provide you with the knowledge and resources that you need to successfully enter the Canadian market. So we have an idea of how to enter Canada and what it takes to enter Canada, also how to access capital in Canada, and a little bit of an understanding of the ecosystem in Canada from like an incubator and accelerator point of view, and then the angel groups. So I actually thank you for taking the time to join me, and it's my absolute pleasure to have all of you here. And I look forward to this engaging, informative session. Now, in terms of, I don't like to really talk a lot about myself, but I probably have to do that. I am a startup advisor. I sit on at least 13 startups as an advisor. We invested in a couple of startups that are outside Canada, international startups, and also local startups in Canada. Myself, I was leading the ecosystem. Actually we have an organization called the National Angel Capital Organization, which is pretty much the one organization that is responsible overseeing every single what we call it accelerator and incubator activity in Canada. So think of it as an umbrella that's under the government. It's an organization that's under the government that's responsible for all the accelerators, incubators in Canada, which is about 42 of them. And they are also responsible for angel groups. So fortunately, I was fortunate to be in that position, leading the operation for that organization for over a year and a half. And there was about 40 something incubator and accelerator under my duty at that time, and when I had that role. And then I had about 32 angel groups. They all were reporting to us, giving us access to their data, understanding how angel groups are investing in local startups, outside Canada startups as well. And we also would get a lot of data from the incubators and accelerators. And the reason why we had to get this data and support these guys is so we can unlock capital for them from the government. So the government would actually give them capital, give them money, so they can operate and they can support startups on the ground if they do a great job. So we were in the middle body. Like, we would actually highlight the success of these incubators and accelerators, so the government can actually give us about $500,000 to $1 million every year, and I allocate that funding, and I distribute it equally to all of the incubators and accelerators. Angel groups don't really need that much of money because they already have money, but they still need a little bit of I would say, capital to operate these angel groups. So they have to also tell us about how they invest in startups, what deals they're looking for. And every month they meet as an angel group and they report back to me to tell me, okay, we're looking for this kind of startups this week. Here's what we're looking to invest. Here's the size of our investment. And then I actually push startups from the incubators and accelerators to the angel groups. And I also make sure that I connect angel groups to the incubators and accelerators. So that opportunity led me to have our own investment firm right now that will invest in startups that are from outside Canada, because this program this organization that I actually was leading, it was responsible for a program called Startup Visa Program, which I think for whoever switched the slide, thank you so much. This is the program that now Innova in Canada, which is our company, is leading. It's called the Startup Visa Program. It's basically an opportunity to build your own startup in Canada. Simple as that. The program is actually meant to attract international foreigner startups that are looking to expand in Canada and bring them to Canada, allow them to operate in Canada. But the best perk of it is actually is to become Canadian and give you a status in Canada. Now, you're probably familiar. There are a lot of programs in Canada, right, in the world right now, where they promise you with status or citizenship, but it's been quite difficult for a lot of startups to move around the world lately, because you need capital, you need money. But Canada has an amazing program that a lot of people don't know of. It's called Startup Visa Program. We at Innova in Canada lead the way with attracting these founders, working with them, whether they are looking to move to Canada with no capital, or they're looking to actually move to Canada with access to capital. So we assist entrepreneurs that are looking to start a business in Canada, and they just need to help figure out how to start. I also help with matching you with the right incubator and accelerator, so you have the support you need when you enter Canada, and you also have the support to a point where you have to get a letter called the letter of support, so you can apply to Immigration Canada to get your status in Canada. And I was just talking about what I actually do over the months. But I've been the guy that's called like the relationship builder in the ecosystem. I've been always connecting investors with startups and founders. I've been always advising startups on how to move to Canada, or how to actually establish the business in Canada. Now, I also say, why Canada? Canada has a great quality of life. Its economy, I probably, a lot of you probably have seen, and it's been very steady. It's been very strong and stable over the past few months. Safety is not something that we need to talk about. It's there. It's been like that for years. The infrastructure of the country, it keeps developing and it keeps evolving. And then the power purchase, people are always, there's a lot of demand for everything. It's still a green market, I would call it, and quality of education. So a lot of people that are looking still to advance in their education. Canada's been great. The universities in Canada is one of the best. So I would say the quality of life is overall is great. So it's a good place for founders and startups to move. And I don't think there's a lot more reasons than that, but this is pretty much just, sums it up. Now, if I was going to focus on why Canada for entrepreneurs, the environment of that business, it actually provides the right environment for a lot of the founders. We had a study of the World Bank Doing Business 2020 report shows Canada occupies the 23rd position in the ranking, the easiest countries to undertake. So once you're in, you don't need to really. There's a lot of places where you need to figure out the culture, the language, the regulatory, the regulation issues. But Canada is pretty easy for you if you really have that intent to start a business. There's a lot of support for entrepreneurs and innovation. The government is putting billions of dollars right now. If you have an idea that has a lot of innovation solving one of the sectors that government is trying to tackle, it's a great place. So you've got a lot of support from the network of incubators and accelerators and angel groups, and also the government agency. And then I would say the third part is this political stability. So it's very stable in terms of political side of things. So security. So founders will have a good place to get support from the government, and the government is always into we are trying to attract founders from outside Canada. We're trying to you actually get more support than actually sometimes the locals. And then there's a lot of attractive tax incentives when you move to Canada. Fifth is the International Trade Network. It's publicly published everywhere where the country has it's an active member of the World Trade Organization, and has a very free trade segments. Sorry, my bad. I thought the note is for me. With several countries, including United States and Mexico, and the location of Canada is right beside the U.S., so you actually have a great understanding of the market of the North American. The strategic location, which I just talked about, which you are right where you need to be if you're looking to also expand into the U.S. We can move to the next slide. Whoever's leading, whoever is actually. Perfect. There's also, I actually like about this, when we attract startups from outside Canada, we talk a lot about grants and funds, right? Government has been supporting entrepreneurs, as far as I remember, probably since the 2014-15. They didn't just want to say, hey, listen, you can come to Canada and can you start your business. No, you come to Canada, you start your business, and then you can apply for grants. But you have to, of course, have a status. So SUV will be a great program for you to go through. So you have the status as a Canadian permanent resident, and you can get funds, access to unlimited programs. There's a lot of things. If you're into, let's say, clean tech, there will be funds and grants for clean tech companies by the government, and they literally like millions of dollars you can just apply for whatever you think that you need, and you just need to justify it, give them the budget that you need it and why, and the government always supports and always gives, we call it free money. So there's a lot of government grants in Canada for pretty much every sector, especially health, especially things that are touching the government and touching the public in general. So that's actually a great, and you can go online, which is interesting, and you can just look up anything that you think you can access from as a founder looking to access funds and grants from the government. You go on this website in particular, and it helps you. It actually helps you understand where you can get your money from where and what are the process are. And we don't have a bureaucracy in Canada, so it's pretty straightforward. You apply online, you just wait. If you have what it takes, then you can easily get the access to those grants and funds. Now, the things I like about this program, SUV, it doesn't just allow you to come to Canada and start a business and get support from the government, but becoming a permanent resident is probably one of the main things that startups are doing this for, right? Because becoming a permanent resident it's going to lead you to become a citizen eventually. So you will have the permission to live and work anywhere in Canada. You will have access to Canada's health and social services system, which is one of the best in the world. You will also have access to education system. So once you become a permanent resident, let's say an international student will pay about $20-something thousand, almost $26,000. You as a local, as a permanent resident, you will pay about $6,000 to $8,000. So, and you have access to a high quality education. Permanent residency cannot be revoked. So once you have it, nobody can take it from you. So after 3 years of permanent residency, living in Canada, you actually can be eligible to have a citizenship in Canada. So we can move to the next one. Now, the Startup Visa program in particular, it's a federal program since 2015. The government actually, the initiative is to attract foreigner entrepreneurs, offering permanent residence in Canada through business immigration. So think of it this way. Back in the day, we had this program called Investor Program, guys. People with money can just come to Canada, buy properties, buy land, buy whatever they want, and then get status. This frustrated the government. Why? Because you've got a lot of people have money, bought lots of lands, bought businesses, but didn't really help the economy because they bought them and they moved out of Canada because they have a status now. They're waiting to become Canadians. So we've got a lot of rich people coming to Canada, buying lands and making it more expensive and more unaffordable for Canadians, and not even hiring Canadians sometimes because they don't operate these businesses. So Canada shut all the programs and said, okay, we're not looking for money. We need people with ideas to come to Canada. Any idea that you have, as long as it's innovative, has innovation, and it has a market, you can market it to Canada, you can sell it to Canada, then we can support you, and you can become a citizen eventually. So once you have a target size, it's basically designed for owners of innovative startups and established foreign businesses to allow them to and their founding partners to relocate to Canada permanently. Now, the business eligibility criteria: businesses must have an innovative established with a scalable and sustainable revenue, or have a strong market validation. Even if you're an early stage, there's a way to help you enter Canada, and that's what I will talk about later on. Now, the economic and the employment benefit: the program actually aims to boost the local economy by demanding job creation, because you're going to be hiring Canadians eventually, and Canadians and permanent residents through these foreign businesses. So you become a business in Canada, will hire Canadians. That's why now this program is the only one to attract people like you, and there's nothing else like this program comparably. But we can move to the next one. That's just to give you an idea of what SUV is. Benefits and risks: I would just say there's more benefits than actually risks. The risk is you're entering a new market, but the benefits is the company can have up to 5 partners, and you can actually apply to become a permanent resident in less than 6 months. They expedited the process even faster now. Back in the day, you wait about a year to 2 to become a permanent resident. But if you have an innovative idea and you're an entrepreneur, you get treated, we'll call it, with special care. Your permanent residence is actually extendable to the spouse and the children up to 20 years old. You can also, you and your spouse may come to Canada before the permanent residence application gets finalized with a work permit. So you can come to Canada, move to Canada, and actually work under a work permit, which is like a permit they give you to operate your startup in Canada. You can open the company online before you even arrive in Canada, which allow you to, of course, accumulate opening time and it actually saves you from even like the whole process of moving to Canada sometimes takes time. But if you can do it online, it's much better. And they did this after COVID. The investment required is less than other than business immigration programs, because you can actually start. You can do some other typical businesses, which is like buying a coffee shop and all of that. With a startup program, the start visa program is very much way better than the other programs. We can move to the next one. To the next slide. Okay. Now, how you can be, Bandaga, what's the eligibility? So, if to be eligible for this, each founder must own at least 10% of the shares of the startup. The co-founders that are going to apply for the PR must jointly have more than 51% of the total shares and the voting rights in the startup venture. Now, and then you also have to have a qualifying business. At least one co-founder wants to undertake this and live in Canada, at least one of you guys. And each applicant must meet, of course, the minimum English or French language skill at a CLP level 5 or IELTS 5. And this is general IELTS, not the academic IELTS. So it's very easy. We've never seen any founder fail that test. You have to receive something called the letter of support from one of the designated organizations in Canada. Remember, when I used to lead NACO, all of these incubators and accelerators, some of them have the designation from the government to issue these letter of supports. So from my connection and working with them for a couple of years, I was able to make the connection with these incubators and accelerators. And if I pick a startup that I believe it's actually the right one for Canada, we can actually help them get the letter of support, given the connection that we have and our strategic partnership. Now, each applicant must have sufficient funds to settle in Canada. It's also not that much. You got to show that in your bank account when they assess your immigration status, because there's two things of when you consider SUV. There's the business side of things and there's the immigration side of things. The immigration side of things, we will have a lawyer that will support you all the way. But the business side is where I actually come in and help me and my partner, Marcella. You have to also be eligible to enter the country, which we talk about biometrics, medical examination, criminal records. So you got to be clear because that's the immigration side of things. We can move to the next one. I hope I'm not that fast, because sometimes I get told that I speak too fast. So if you guys find it too fast, just let me know and I'll slow it down. The tech component, pretty much everything: e-commerce, IoT, cybersecurity, blockchain, apps, SaaS, VR now, AR gaming. We've seen a lot of companies right now doing health tech, marketplace. I don't really advise marketplace; doesn't have a lot of innovation. With all respect, I know there's a lot of great startups that are within the marketplace, but it gets it gets a very tough, what we call it, peer reviewed by the government, because this will eventually lead to an application will be examined by the government. We find a lot of companies that have marketplace component to it. The government, kind of pushes hard on like, why Canada, and what are you offering versus, what's your value proposition, what makes you competitive. So marketplace has been, a little difficult, but it's still something that we can bring to Canada. But yes, we can do all of that. We can move to the next one. Now, type of companies: esports, health tech, fintech, agri-tech, data tech, clean tech, ed tech is pretty big. So if I was going to say anyone in that within the health tech and ed tech in Canada is actually going to have a great access to this program. We want to PR busy, but just want. We will cover the questions after we are done with the presentation. Thanks for actually bringing the questions. This is just to cover the English tests, so there's not much to talk about it. But we do actually offer English tests and trial classes for general English or IELTS for people that are considering the program. We can do some testing in advance and before. But I know you guys don't have that issue, especially if you're people that have been speaking English. General tests is pretty easy. Now, proof of funds. For you to be eligible for the work permit, you must have enough money to meet the low income cut of what we call the LICO for your family size for 52 weeks. So you make sure you clearly show that you meet that minimum amount, and the minimum amount shows where you can show it in a bank account, cash, bonds, bank drafts. But That's what it is. And the website can actually show you what the number is. Sometimes they increase it because of inflation, but we can talk about, these are the details. These are all immigration elements, by the way. These are all immigration stuff. Processing time, the thing about Canada is full transparency. You go online, you click on you basically pick the right, you pick start a visa, and it tells you what are the processing time for applications for a start a visa program. It's sometimes 13 weeks, 15 weeks. It changes, but it's something that you can have access to when you just go online and find out how long you will have to wait now by selecting the right application. We move to the next step. Now, what do we help? How do we help? Or how do we come handy in this? There's a bunch of things that we do, but I don't want to really focus on the first one and two, because that is basically meant for people that don't have startups. But if you're someone right now on the call today, on the session, that don't have a startup and don't have an idea, and you really need to come to Canada with an idea, yes, we can do the map to Canada. We can do a global digital business, from ideation to adapting the Canadian market. We can do all of that, building a community for you. But what I actually will do the most for you that you will appreciate is the co-founder matchmaking and the visa side of things. There are two things. So if you have an idea today and you need support from other founders and you need to be matched with other founders, let's just say you're by yourself or two of you guys right now in an idea and you need someone to help you from outside Canada. Of course, we can actually match you guys as a team. Of course, everybody's got to pay their fees, and then have you guys become a solid team, and then give you pretty much the whole, what we call it, the whole plan of moving to Canada from A to Z. If you are a team looking to come to Canada, not looking for capital. I also do I also do investor match. If you are a startup and looking to move to Canada and you need capital, which is very hard, even Canadian companies today are not getting access to capital, and you guys probably know that. It's hard to get money. I will be able, through startup, through Innova in Canada, with our partners, to match you up with people that have money and are also willing to come to Canada with you and become a co-founder of your business. And there's also a potential opportunity of, let's say, we have the founder A, and they're looking to come to Canada, and they're willing to cover their fees, but they're looking for someone to help them move to Canada with capital. So I can actually match you up with our investors, which is up to 3 investors. Each one of them will put $100,000 in your startup. So you will have up to $300,000 capital in your startup. The catch is what? You're just basically allowing them to come to Canada with you. They will have strong profiles, master's degrees, PhDs. They have money. They're going to be part of your team. They're going to go through the incubation with you. They're going to attend sessions, and you guys all will get that letter of support. And then you guys get the funds. Now, when you move to Canada, they will have the option of giving you your shares, because each one of them will have to have 10%, so they can become part of your company. They will actually give you your 10% back once their application is finalized and approved. So guess what? That money that you got, the $300,000, was for free. So I will help you I'll actually help you move to Canada with money, up to $300,000. And then your 30% that you're giving up will be returned to you once the application is finalized. So that means you brought 3 great business leaders with you through the whole process. They were with you the whole time, but then once things are finalized and good and approved, we will allow these guys to give you your 30% back. So this was free money. $300,000 just helped you move to Canada and launch your business in Canada, because you have to start a new entity in Canada, not bring your own company to Canada. It will become a Canadian entity. So that's what we get the most questions, and I would say this is our best. This is what we're good at, basically. And if I don't want to say the best selling service, but this is where people come in. I have an idea. I need capital. If you allow me to move to Canada with that, I would love to do that. And it's always coming from one founder max, because that's what you can squeeze 3 people with them and get that much money. Now, the visa venture is the whole immigration through startup visa. Once we do the business side of things, match you up with investors and give you money, you need immigration. We have a lawyer that's actually part of our firm. He will take care of everything from A to Z for you, which is from applying, working with the incubator, and also getting your work permit, submitting your LOS to the government, submitting your PR application. Usually that comes with a cost for immigration. and it comes to like almost $30,000 to $40,000. But our packages for this is way less because we're trying to attract great ideas and startups. And that's my other, I would say that's the second one that we do, which is the visa side of things. So we match you either with founders, but no money, and you come to Canada, but each one of you will have to pay a fee, or you actually get matched with investors. And regardless, you still pay a fee, but the investors will actually invest in the startup. And you also will, both sides, you guys will be covered with immigration by an immigration lawyer that's based out of Quebec. Now we can move to the next slide. I would say this is a slide that's usually covered. It's very important for the global digital business, which is like people that are literally, they don't have an idea, they want to move to Canada. We do a lot for these guys, from like literally getting funding, finding investors, finding clients, finding partners, how to establish their business, the legal, the accounting. We do even their visual identity and their digital presence, and we also we give them the digital component of their business, how to adapt and structure into a digital, global digital business. We even go further with like the lean canvas, the pitch deck, business plan. Do you want to pursue immigration in Canada? These things that we do. But I understand a lot of you guys are actually a startup already, so I wouldn't talk about this much. It's more like for people that don't have an idea and they just want to move to Canada. We can move to the next slide. The roadmap, now this is also good for both, but mainly for, if you're really starting from nothing, then this is a good plan to understand how we phase it out into four phases, which is discovering and structuring a vision, like understanding the Canadian market. Now, when you actually start the startup visa program, you have to understand when you apply for this, you have to enroll in an incubator, which we also do for you, and you have to attend sessions. A lot of them are live and some of them are recording, to familiarize yourself with the Canadian market. And they do a lot of workshops for entrepreneurs that are moving to Canada, that are attending the sessions before they get the letter of support. They help you with your pitch deck, business plan. They do that, but we also do that for you as well. Now move to the next slide. The business validation and the incubator match. This is very important. A lot of people really apply directly to incubators, but they don't even get a yes. Or if they get a yes, they get asked to pay their fee, but they don't get a lot of support. The good thing about us is that if we look at the startup, we have to interview you a couple of times. We got to understand, are you in the agri-tech? Are you in the data tech? Are you in the health tech? Based on what sector you're in and the type of founder you are and the type of support that you seek, we will find the perfect incubator that's also a partner of ours, and we send you to that incubator. We go from interviewing and validating your business, making sure that you get a yes from them, and then not just a yes and then you're on your own. It's a yes, and we guide you through the whole how to attend the sessions, how to make sure you stand out as a founder, and how to get the letter of support in no time from them. So from ideation to co-founder profile matching, operational plan, the company incorporation, which we also help you with. And that's actually very important because you need to incorporate in Canada. You need to start a new entity in Canada. We cover that as well in the package. Now you can move to the next slide. The fourth one is develop the MVP and get ready to business program review, progress review. So to obtain the letter of support, you think of it as SUV is a program, like I said, it's for entrepreneurs to move to Canada, but how is the Canadian government going to validate? They can't just accept anybody. So they made all the designated entity do the work. So if you have an idea, you have to apply to an incubator, and the incubator have to validate that idea and says, okay, we believe in it, but we're going to go through a session with these guys, with these founders for like a month, 2 or 3. And then they give you something called a letter of support. If you obtain the letter of support, that means you've actually done almost 80% of the work. And then that letter of support allows you to apply for permanent residence, because you use that letter of support, you and your team members, to send it to Immigration Canada so they can say, okay, there's an incubator that believes in them, that actually taught them how to enter Canada. They've attended all the sessions. They have paid their fees. They basically have shown that they are a great business for Canada. They have even allocated, they've got funds, like the other stream that I told you about. They have raised money. So we're gonna work with them, and we're gonna support them as a government. and we were going to work on their application, the PR application. So they send it to Immigration Canada, and it gets processed, and you wait for a couple of months, and then once you get your PR, now you're a permanent resident. You can now apply for more funding from the government, like I said, the grants. You can move to Canada freely, live anywhere in any province. So that's how I would see the journey from like ideation, which is you have the idea, you meet with the incubator, and then you get the letter of support, and then you're off. That's usually what we also can help with. The rest of it is just to tell you how you're going to work with an incubator. There's going to be a 14-month support program delivered into two phases, before and after the letter of support. So before we issue the letter of support, you're going to attend workshops and sessions, live sessions with the incubator. You can do them online in your home country, so you don't need to come to Canada. I know a lot of you are probably going to ask that question. And then once you get the letter of support, there's going to be another program. But all of these programs and these workshops are going to support you, just like now Hackquarters supports you, into understanding how to enter Canada and how to succeed in Canada, right? And I just want to highlight something, guys. The reason why I also chose Hackquarters, this is to their credit. I have seen that, like, their reach, and they are super global. They've done an amazing job globally, Hackquarters. And we have so many incubators and accelerators asking us globally, can we work with you? Can we send our startups to you so you can bring them to Canada? We chose to not work with so many, but I actually was really happy to work with Hackquarters because I've seen their data, I've seen their success stories, I've seen their diversification, their sector agnostic. So I really liked that their data has been a great indication of their success and their legacy. So that's why we chose to work with them. And now think of us as an extension of Hackquarters to Canada. So if you want to work with us, you're basically part of the Hackquarters team, or the umbrella, and then you basically work with us to enter Canada, but it will be an extension. You don't need to just think of it, oh, I'm moving to Canada, that's it. You can operate in different countries, and Canada will become like a new market that you're entering. There's going to be workshops, meeting with angel investors, and there's going to be a lot of educational, I would call it, sessions for you when you go through the incubation program, which you guys are probably all familiar with. The investment structure. Like I said, when you go through the first phase, the first stream, which is just you being matched with other people and coming to Canada, there's no money. Yes, if you succeed, you might be able to meet with investors in Canada and ask them for money, and that's one way to do it. But if you need straight access to capital, we can use the second stream, which you can raise your hand and be like, I have an idea, and here's how great the idea is, and I think it's going to fit what the Startup Visa program is looking for, but I need capital. And I'm by myself as a founder. This is a very easy win-win situation. Like, we bring you in, we match you up with people that have money, and you guys all can come to Canada, not physically, but just start the process in Canada. So I would not really talk much about this, but we can still also help with getting funded once you get your letter of support, apply for PR, we can actually work with the government on getting you funded, like grants and funds from the government once you become a PR. So there's always ways to get you money once you're in Canada, or before, just like I said. Now, this is extra service that we provide. There's a lot of things that we do. That's why I don't really want to cover it. By the way, this was about 38 slides. I had to really trim it down. I had to trim it down and make it shorter. But there's other things that we do I'm not going to cover. But just think of it this way. There's cohorts right now in every incubator. The next one is called, it's the number 12, and it's going to start in July. And I just want you to either scan the code. Now, yeah, can you hold on this slide? If you go back to the slide before, sorry about that. So what you do basically when you start the process with us, we have to see if you're eligible for when you send your information to us, and we look at your everything, your profile, your Twitter, your LinkedIn, your CV. We have to record you for 1 minute to understand how you pitch your startup. Pre-incubation, we go through like the lead canvas pitch deck, preparing you for interviews, and then from, let's say we have right now, cohort starts in July. From the 17th to the 27th of June, we will actually screen all the founders so we can pick the one that we think the incubator will choose. And batch 12, which is in July, first phase with the incubator before LOS, that's when you guys will start your cohort with the incubator. 7, you will receive the LOS, which is around October, November. You will be receiving your LOS, sometimes before. And then that's when you can also get funded from the investors that I'll match you up with if you want to choose the second stream. And then sixth, when you request a letter of support, fifth, actually, we got this, my bad. I got this mixed up. So second phase with the incubator, and then we request a letter of support, and then you receive the letter of support after. And then you can apply for work permit and PR at the same time. And then everything else, it's just a lot of other services that we provide. I can talk about this in details later on, but like I said, it's more like if you have a startup and you want to move to Canada, we can talk on a separate note, and we can, we can privately, and I can talk to you, and I can walk you through the whole process in details. You can scan the code. You can connect with me either on LinkedIn or by email. The team will share that with you. And I have been doing this for now 3 years. Okay. And we have incubated guys, I have actually onboarded about 26, 28 startups. We have invested $4.3 million in startups. We have moved all of them to Canada. They all got PR. Some of them are pending still. So this is like literally a cup of water for me. It's just, I have to sit with you, understand what you're doing, what you're building. Is this a good thing for Canada or not? And we can go from there. Fees and structure of fees, we can also talk about it in like a separately, because each company, each startup, each founder will have a separate case. But the catch is, think of it this way. If you're moving to Canada, you need capital, there's a way to do it with us, and also get a permanent residency. If you don't need capital and you just want to move to Canada and you want to be matched with other great people like you, and they become a co-founder of your business and have equity in your business, there's always a way to do it. But you won't have to worry about any of the details in the process that's involved, because Innova in Canada will cover all of that. Now, that's what I actually would say that pretty much covers everything about SUV. And I think you can follow the page Innova in Canada everywhere on, on Instagram, IG, LinkedIn, and Twitter. But I'm so sorry if I actually took this is usually longer than that, but I hope I covered as much as I can. And please let me know if you have questions. I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions. Remember, we can also cover that privately. There's a lot we can talk about. I have attended about 18 conferences. Any conference I go to, I attract startups. I pick the ones that I think is a good fit, and I take them to Canada. We invest in them. So I do this all the time. I'm happy to connect with you guys on a separate occasion, and we can talk further. So sorry, guys, about the delay, and I hope I covered much. Oh, thanks.
Thank you so much, Ben, for your presentation. And I think it was really detailed. Like, I mean, you deep dived into the every single point and all of the program in detail. So people have questions probably, but let's have it in the Q&A section. So we can also do it like in a more interactive way. So I will be introducing to Klemta right now. Erdem, who is co-founder of Klemta, and he will be also presenting the USA market and the details right now. But I mean, I will be leaving this sharing screen with you, Erdem. If you want, you can share your own screen. So we can go like this. So let me close it. Just a second.
Okay. Let's do that like that.
Yep. Now you should be able to share your own for the presentation.
Just a second. Let's try to do that. Share screen.
Yep. You should have the controls and everything. So
I think it requires something. Just a second.
yes, you are co-host now. Okay.
Because of the settings, he's going to.
He needs to go back.
Yeah.
Come again, but I mean, no worries. It will take like 2 minutes.
Yeah,
Please be
exactly.
patient on that one.
Yeah.
So Adam can log in again and share his screen. By the way, I mean, in the meantime, if you have any questions regarding to the Canadian market, please feel free to drop them still they're in your mind. So will not miss it. Okay, so Klemta
I'm
is
back.
here. Thank you, Adam. I am leaving the stage to you now.
Of course. Thank you for joining everyone today. It's Mümtaz. I'm one of the co-founders of Klemta. I've been an entrepreneur, I think, for the last 8 years, and I'm also a tech lawyer. And I've been with Hackquarters from the beginning, I guess. I even attended the wedding ceremony of the founders. So it's been 8 years with Hackquarters as well, and it's a pleasure to be here today. I actually started a few ventures. I ended up with the Klemta and also keep working on the legal stuff. So I believe I work with more than 1,000 startups, closed more than 300 investment rounds, and incorporated, I think, more than 6,000 US companies. So I'm trying to explain the US market from a founder point of view, from a startup lawyer point of view, and from a sales owner point of view. So let's dive in. A little bit marketing. So we are a one-stop shop SaaS platform for incorporating a US business from A to Z. You can just start your business from us. You can do the taxation, you can do the post incorporation, you can get your notarized and everything. We serve in different languages, and we have an internal legal team that handles everything for you. So we are both a tech company, but we have a legal background. So why people choose the incorporate company in the United States? Obviously, that's the largest consumer market. That's the Dragon's Den, or in Turkish we say yiğidin armağan olduğu yer. So everyone attracted to US market, it's a go-to place for any entrepreneur when you think of global expansion. So it doesn't require too much advertising. And you can access lots of payment gateways and banking stuff in the United States. For example, there are lots of places that you can't reach Stripe or Payoneer or PayPal in different regions, including Turkey, unfortunately. You can have a US company and easily access to any financial services you require, and you don't have to physically be there. You can do everything remotely. You don't have to be in US any time of year or any time of your life. You can do everything remotely. You can incorporate from here. You can do your post incorporation. You can do your taxation. You can open a bank account. You can have an investment. You can even have an exit without touching any soil of the United States of America. So that's a flexible point of view. You can do whatever you like online. And it's a good place to attract global investors because, you know, there are lots of venture capitals there, and they're eagerly choosing to invest in United States business. It's kind of industry standards. When you open a Delaware C Corp, no one questions the company. You can just go with the Delaware C Corp. So it's a good place to attract the investors, and it's really flexible. And normally, if you incorporate somewhere else in the world, you have to decide everything from the beginning. You have to do all the incorporation at the beginning, and you are not flexible in terms of changing stuff. But in the United States, the system is quite different. First, you incorporate your company with several documents. If you like the name of the company, the authorized shade number, and the address of the company, you don't have to even clearly state the founders and the share ratios. In the post incorporation procedure, you can just play with around. So it's really flexible in that point of view. It's also flexible in terms of personal liability. A person can be completely liable of the operations of the company, or on the complete other side, you can say that the company will own any problems that the people cause. So it's really a flexible place. And as you know, we are startups and we're trying to expand the startup way. So there are lots of different mechanisms come through the startup ecosystem, like stock options, vestings, some rights like tag-alongs, drag-alongs, right of first refusals, some exit rights, and they all originated from the yes law system. So you don't have to adapt things to become a startup law compliant way. So it's more flexible and ready to go in that manner. And it's really private. It depends on the place you choose. But for example, if you choose to incorporate a business in the Delaware, no one can see your company information outside. For example, if you register in Turkey, there's a trade registry that everyone can see the name of the company, the shares of the person, even the board members or the important decisions of the company. But in the United States, it's completely private in some states, but it's not applicable for all of the states, to be honest. For example, if you choose to go to the Wyoming, the trade registry is open as well. So they give you option to whether to choose to become private or not. But that's a good flexibility in terms of United States. In the matter of taxation, we have two types of taxation in the United States. First the federal level, then the state level. Every state has different taxation regime, but to be honest, Delaware and Wyoming are the most common choices because of their taxation strategy. They don't take any tax from your income. They have a fixed amount every year, which is 400 or 300 for Delaware and almost 150 for Wyoming. So they don't really care about how much money you gain. And they just have the fixed fee. For example, if you go to California, it will be like 9% of your income. So that's good as well. But it doesn't mean that the United States doesn't have any taxes. You know, IRS has a huge power and authority and jurisdiction over the states. So they have a federal taxation system, which is 21% flat fee right now for this year. But when you listen to the speech of the Biden, he explicitly say that US people pays approximately 7.3% tax in the United States, which means it's really flexible in terms of expenditures in the system. For example, if you buy a MacBook in Turkey, a tax inspector can easily come and ask why you choose to obtain a MacBook. You can go with a Windows laptop, they can say, but it's not like that in the United States, which is normal for anyone in the world, but we really, let's say, get used to something silly in Turkey. So there are no such thing. We have lots of questions about normally migration. In the United States, there's no open gate for migrating. It takes time and effort to have an opportunity to migration. First, you have to incorporate your company and at least pay your taxes for a year. Then you're open to become a migrant. So you have to use some effort and time to move to the United States. But as I mentioned, you don't have to physically there to do your business. If you choose to have an investment, that can be also a case. You don't have to have a business visa. You can also have an investor visa. And it can also work if you have a heavily invested startup, but there's no startup visa program at the moment. Hopefully they will bring in the current future. But nowadays they don't have a proper startup visa, but there are some talent programs that you can apply on. It can be an O1, for example. If you're a known entrepreneur all around the world, you can directly have a green card from the United States. So there are opportunities, but they don't come like at the beginning. You have to work on it to do that. In United States, you don't have to have a bookkeeper. You can do your own bookkeeping. So you don't have to start with working an accountant at day zero. In lots of jurisdictions, you have to start with an accountant. In United States, people do their own bookkeepings and just work with an accountant in the filing section. You can either do both of them, but it's a flexibility in that manner. And as I mentioned, there are 50+1 states, so you can choose to incorporate in different states. But if you're not going to be physically in a state, you don't have to incorporate your business there, or you can choose to incorporate somewhere else and register your business to another place. For example, if you're planning to move California, you can incorporate a Delaware business so that you don't have a big taxation via the states, and you can just choose to register California and pay your local taxes there and try to minimize your taxation risks. So it's really flexible and open to opportunities and in that manner. And to be honest, I have companies, I think, in 5 or 6 jurisdictions now, and the United States is the easiest one. I sometimes explain it like switching your laptop to Windows from MacBook. It's that seamless that you feel something is off. You just say that I earned this, and these are my expenditures, and they make you just click one button and you pay your taxes. For example, if you're going to invoice someone, you just open a Word document, say that it's an invoice, and send someone. If there's an error, they send it to you back and you change the document and send again. So things are really easy and flexible and fast in that manner. So it's a good place to incorporate a business. Let me try to change the slide. I did it. So when you just start a US company, in the first week, your company is incorporated no matter which state you choose. It can vary. For example, if you choose Wyoming, probably you'll have the same day incorporation. If you choose to go Delaware, it will be like 1 or 2 business days. If you go to Texas, it will be like 4, but probably it won't last more than a week. So it's quite fast. In the first week, you also can have your US address and US phone number, which is probably ready to go for most of the manners. Then you will need a taxation number. They call it EIN. It means employee identification number, but it works as a tax ID in the United States as well. If you're a non-resident founder, you have to apply it by fax, so it can take up to a month. But if you have somehow a social security number from the United States, it can be with any manners. It can be, for example, go to a college, it can be work and travel, or it can be one of your friends as well. If someone with social security number say that I know this person, it can be a day, not a month. So it can be completely taken online. And then you can open a US bank account. It used to be like you have to go physically there, but for the last 5 or 6 years, you don't have to physically go to US to open a bank account, which is quite easy. And when you got the bank account and EIN and your company documents, you can access whatever service you can go. There's no restrictions against it. You can just go to Stripe and open an account like you're opening an Instagram account, which is same for PayPal, which is same for any other payment providers. So which is quite easy. If you'd like to have a personal taxation number, you can definitely do that as well, which is called individual taxpayer identification number, ITIN. We can help you with that as well. We are registered agents at the IRS, certified agent for doing that. And the further of the year, you can have your trademarks, you can have your bookkeeping, and you can file your taxes, which is quite easy. And as a platform, we are trying to make it as seamless as possible so that you can even start your business, you can do the post incorporation, you can do the taxation, you can do the bookkeeping, you can, for example, have a trademark, you can go notary, apostille, you can even dissolute your company, you can just finish your company on our platform, which is quite easy. Normally, there are lots of barriers to incorporate in the United States if you're trying to do it your own. As a startup lawyer, I think 8 years ago, I tried to do that. And in order to have a company, first you have to find a registered agent, then you have to find a US registered address, then you have to choose your incorporation service, then you have to find the fax to file it. So you have to need an accountant and so on. It's quite complex, but what we're trying to achieve is just a platform to make everything possible from your point of view and from the fingertips. So with Flemta, you can just start and finish your US business, or you can maintain it however you like, which is quite easy than before. And on Trustpilot, we are the first company registry platform with the 4.9 points out of 5, which is a good indication of the barriers we broke with our clients. So we're trying to do our best to help them as much as we can. And I think that's the general overview of having a company in the United States. And I'll be at the Q&A session. If you need anything, you can just scan the code to use our platform, or you can easily access me on any platforms, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. I'll be happy to help you if you need anything. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much, Erdem, for your time and for the presentation. So let's move to Q&A session, if you like. Yeah, thank you, Layda. Quickly. I can see some questions are coming from Q&A part. Feel free to ask your questions from chat or from Q&A button. Simply press the Q&A button and ask your questions. There is a question for Ben. Ben, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. Özge has one question to you. I want to ask you. Can you see that question from Q&A side?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. So let's talk about the SUV. I want you to look at 2 things. There's the business side of things, which we control. Okay, we have full
Um,
control of it.
just I need to read that for the recording. After that, you can answer it if you like. Okay.
Yeah, no worries.
For
Yeah.
for for for the recording, I need to read the question. Özge asked question. Thank you, Özge, for your question. She says that how long does the process of acquiring the visa itself take on average? What is the expected time we should be planning for acquiring a visa as scale up when we start the procedure? Does startup visa include a sponsorship for team members that are not co-founders to reside and work in Canada? So that's the question, Ben. Now we can answer.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Aaron, for reading out that question out loud. And also thanks for, how do you pronounce the name? Oski?
Özge, you can
Okay,
say.
well, thanks for bringing that. That's a great question. I get that question a lot from people that are very detail oriented. I want you to look at the SUV at two parts. There's the immigration part. Well, no, let's start with, there's the business side. There's the business part of it, and there's the immigration side part of it. Business is something that we control. We have full control, which is you and I and our team. We will basically do as much as we can to expedite the process for the business. The faster we move from the business side of things, the faster we can get to the immigration element of it, the second part. Once it's an immigration thing, it's out of our control. It becomes the government slash, I would say, your documents, anything that you have prepared to apply. So let's say if you've got everything together, you've got your English test, you've got your funding, like your account, what's it called? Like your settlement fund, and you got your like everything, your criminal, your biometrics, everything's good. Things move quick, and waiting time, processing time, it depends, right? Sometimes from the country that you're originally from, some countries, they tend to take a little more time examining the countries and where you come from. And that's just because of security reasons. Like I said, it's all out of control. But if I was going to give you like the process of acquiring the visa itself, there's two things. You either get a work permit, that's itself a process. So if you're applying for PR, which is the permanent residence, which is the, that's the bigger, that's the shark of the process. That takes up to 12, 13 months to get, because think of it, it's a PR. It's something that people wait years for. That's PR, but you don't need to wait for PR. You can apply for a work permit. That also is considered visa. If you apply for work permit, which is a permit that allows you to come to Canada and work, you need to also apply for visa, which is the stamp that they give you on your passport to enter Canada, which is called TRV. That TRV and that work permit can take up to could take weeks. And it just allows you to come to Canada and operate your startup. So it depends how you ask that question, right? And who's asking that question. So if you're looking at a PR, it's a longer process, but you don't need to wait for the PR. You can actually start and you can move to Canada with the PR, with the work permit and your visa that allows you to enter Canada, and you're freely to do whatever you want until your PR gets finalized. So no country in the world that finalizes PR and I mean, PR is a path to citizenship. So the government does its due diligence, and it takes time to process it. But I would say it's a year on average. Sometimes it's longer from what I've seen. But I would say the average is about 16 months. But your PR, your work permit, and your visa is if you have all the application. So if you've got all the requirements, you can apply once you get your letter of support. Now, you say, what's the expected time we should be planning for acquiring a visa as a scale up when we start the procedure? I don't understand this particular question when you say when we're planning. If you start the process of SUV and you follow the steps one by like a step at a time, your lawyer actually will advise you on what to do next. You will just, in parallel, you're going to move strategically with your incubator sessions, and your lawyer will be like, okay, I need this from you. I need that from you. If you have the business ready and you have the startup, you don't need to plan and do anything. You just need to make sure it fits the criteria, and your startup gets picked and you start the journey, and then they will guide you through the process. So are we. all the way to get the letter of support. So all the planning that you're talking about, if it's pre-applying, that's up to you. But if you're applied and you got picked, you don't need to plan anything. You just need to work through the process all the way to get the letter of support and apply for work permit and then apply for PR and just wait. The catch there, if you get matched with investors that are giving you money, once you apply for work permit, guess what? You actually will get the money in your bank account. We will help you open a bank account in Canada, and you will start seeing the $100,000 gets deposited, another 100,000 gets deposited, and another 100,000 gets deposited in weeks. So you'll have money to operate your business in Canada.
Thank you, Ben, for your question. I already gave access to Özge. If she have anything else to add, you can simply open your microphone and ask more question if you like.
First, I want to thank you for the answer, but I had one more question after that regarding the sponsorship, because the way I understand it is that the co-founders can get the visa, but what happens for the team members that are not co-founders and they also want to go to Canada to work? Do you have a
Yeah, so they have to be essential. So I would advise, if you're the co-founder or you're the founder, and if you have a co-founder with you and you guys are coming to Canada, it is mainly for you because you're the founding members of the company. Now, for them, they're just the employee. They can apply to get sponsorship after, and that also requires, of course, an immigration element to it. Not more of a, it doesn't really. We also help with that, by the way, just to let you know, but. This is more for the founding members of the company because they're essential. They're considered essentials for the government. As long as you bring in the company and yourself, and then your employees can apply. I forgot what is it called. I think it's LMIA, something like that. They apply to be sponsored. You sponsor them to come and work for your company because you can say, these are my team members and I'm applying to have them come and work for me, and they apply for work permits. And their work permits will allow them to apply, their status, and they stay longer with you. They don't apply for PR though. They can come and work for you, and then eventually the time they spend with you as an employee allows them to become eligible to apply for work permit for a permanent resident later on. But for PR, it's only you and someone else that's with you that will get the advantage of applying for PR. Because you are the founding member, you're the essential for the company. All of your employees, they can't just give the whole team. Let's say sometimes companies come with a large size and they can't just give them all PRs, right? They give the founding members that are essential to the business. Anybody else that you think is very important for the team to have and your company to have, your lawyer can tell you how you can invite them and you can sponsor them later on. And of course, if you got through the process yourself, there's no problem to inviting others, especially if they've been working with you. So I wouldn't have that issue to worry about, but just don't expect them, don't get them to, don't get their high hopes that they're going to get PR too. They have to get a work permit and then work for a couple of, I think a year or two, and then they can actually apply for PR because they would have actually given, they would have been a fit for the program, maybe express entry, or if you sponsor them and there's a way where you can sponsor them and there's some sort of a criteria that you have to meet, also money-wise, I think they can also apply for PR. That question that you're asking right now is an immigration question. And we're given an order that we don't talk about immigration because that's not what we do. But the lawyer, if you actually very interested, will tell you how your team can apply and can get sponsorship. But this is mainly for you. Now, remember, if you're looking to get money, just that free money that I talked about, this is a perfect one just for yourself. If you apply just by yourself, you can actually get 3 people matched with you. They will give you the money and they become part of your team. 4 of you will come to Canada. Do the application all together. They will have the PR because they will be considered essential. You get the money. Now, if they get approved, all of you guys get approved. They walk away, they give you your percentage back. Think of this, okay? They give you a percentage back, all their equity that they took from you, which is each 10%, they will give it to you back. You keep the money, whatever you have. Now you can bring your team members after. And this entity that I'm talking about is the Canadian entity, guys. For everybody that's listening today, I am talking about a Canadian entity. That means your company back home it's untouchable. We're not talking about that. Your equity allocation and your term sheet for that one, nobody touches that. You're coming to Canada, you're starting a new entity with a different, you can play with the name. So let's say your company is called Ben, you can call it Benda, whatever Bendago is in Canada. You're starting a new entity in Canada. Now you give equity of your Canadian entity. So you don't touch your back home country, your back home company. That's also another perk. So people doing it and getting free cash because it's a new entity that's Canadian entity, so they can give up equity. Sometimes they leave it with the investors. Sometimes the investors are like, I don't want it. You can have it back. So you keep the money for yourself, and then you get to invite your teams after if you want.
Okay. Thank you, Ben, for the question.
I hope I answered
And
it.
also, Özge, thank you. I will have some questions for Erdem, if it is okay for you. So I
Of
want
course.
to ask something about challenges. So what challenges do startups typically face when entering the US market? So how can they overcome these challenges?
Thank you, Eren, for the question. It's a quite tricky market to enter in. The way that things done here is quite different than the other world. So your normal expansion strategy probably doesn't fit into the US market since the consumer market is larger than everyone. Their options are more flexible and much more than anywhere in the world. So people have different, let's say, expectations from you, which is quite hard to grasp, and you have to start thinking like a US company. If you start and do things like you're doing in your hometown, probably you won't be achieving good things here. So you have to try to change your mindset. Sometimes, if it's a scaling company, if it's a scale up, they even try to employ some people from there to understand the local point of view. But from Turkish point of view, we are challengers. It's really a tough market to be in and a tough place to be in. So I think a Turkish founder can easily understand it and try to be a part of the network. And it's not a closed network. So if you don't even physically be there, you can access their networks as well. But it takes time and effort. And I think the short answer will be the mindset. If you change the mindset, everything is possible here. If you don't, it's a quite challenging place because the system changed, the way that people think changed, the consumer asks are changed. So you have to adapt in the new place, I can say.
Thank you very much. So I will also have one more question for you. So are there specific industries or sectors in the market of US that particularly attractive or competitive for you? I mean,
Actually,
what do you?
e-commerce is huge. We have 6,000 clients at Clemta Incorporated in the United States, and I think 60% or something doing e-commerce because there are
Mhm.
lots of big places like Amazon and the other local markets that we know. That's why it's really challenging, and lots of people are trying to do that. I think fintech is on the rise in the United States. I see lots of
Mhm.
fintech founders expanding their business there. Crypto is booming, even the SEC is there. And because as a blockchain compliance strategy, you can either go to the nearest way possible to the regulator or the furthest way possible. That's why lots of crypto companies go there. I see lots of DAOs there incorporating because Wyoming has a special regulation about incorporating DAOs there. So trending business are there. But to be honest, because it's a huge market and probably one of the biggest centers for business, every startup can fit in there. You don't even have to do business in the United States. You can choose, for example, you're a Turkish company and you're trying to do things in Turkey. You can start as a Delaware company and do things in Turkey as well. There's nothing against it. So you can think it as a global hub. And because lots of VCs are trying to move the companies to secure places. US is one of the first go-tos to flip ups. That's why there are lots of companies in different sectors doing business there. But my short answer will be e-commerce is huge, fintech and blockchain is on the rise, and everything will be welcomed in the United States.
Yeah, thank you. So there's also our fintechs and blockchain startups are also in the events, they probably may reach you. If they want to
That would
reach
be
you,
lovely.
they can
Maybe
contact us.
maybe I can comment on that as well. With the
Yeah.
current ICO structures, most of the companies try to hold their equity base and intellectual property in United States, probably Delaware because of the tax regime. Then incorporate an offshore company. It can be British Virgin Island, Caymans, whatever, to have the ICOs. And if they're Turkish, probably to employ people, they're incorporating a Turkish company as well. They flip the Turkish company under the United States and do the ICO separately, which is a common practice in lots of crypto companies. So there's an advantage for that as well. They can definitely consider.
Yeah, thank you. So my last question is for you is about funding. So what funding opportunities are available in US for the startups to enter in these markets? How can they access these funding opportunities?
Actually, fundraising is huge in the United States, and there are lots of fast-tracked instruments to do the funding in here. For example, as you all know, the SAFE documents, which is originated in US law, you can have your investment around 5 minutes or so, which takes months normally to have a proper investment round. So there are fast-tracked ways to do that, which is quite easy to grasp and fun to do because it doesn't take too much effort and you don't have to let's say, decide on lots of things. You can just have it your way and you can get it through in your way, which is quite fast. And there are lots of big VC funds there. And there are lots of good incubators like Techstars, Y Combinator, Alchemist. You can definitely choose their programs as well to have kind of investments. So the investment is huge there, but you have to be in their network to have an easier access because as you all know, cold emails doesn't really work in VC sector. You have to start getting to know people and try to explain your way, explain your startup, your growth, and everything of the team so that they can easily understand and trust you because the trust is the center. And no matter what, you didn't, let's say, grow there, so you have a different culture and you're not probably a Stanford or Harvard graduate, so they have a bias against it. So you have to be the part of the network to have an access from the VC. But Hackquarters is a good place to be in there because if you have a let's say warm intros, everything comes easier and it adds up. But an average startup, I think, screens 400 something VCs and 4 or 5 of them get the investment. So it's a long run and journey. So you have to, let's say, deep dive in the fundraising. Otherwise, it's not a hobby. You have to be fully adapted to the fundraising time.
You have to be there. You have to be one of them, and you have to change your mindset. You have to be one of them. Like we can say that, right?
Yeah, that's the main idea.
Yeah. Thank you. So my next question is for Ben. Ben, how can startups determine the market size and potential demand for their product service in Canada?
Okay, so market size is a very tricky for a lot of startups, not just not just the ones that are coming to Canada. Like understanding the market size is crucial factor for technology startups to consider when developing and launching a new product or service. There are types of, like, there are B2C and there are B2B markets, which they sell directly to consumers, and the B2B sell directly to businesses. I would say to calculate market size, you have to identify the total market size of the product and service, and this can be usually done by gathering data from the industry reports that the Canadian agencies will usually publish. Market research firms that also will be available for all the founders when they come to Canada. Government agencies. We are pretty good with data in Canada. It's publicly available for everybody to access. I call this the top down. This is the top down approach, which involves estimating the total market size and then breaking it down into smaller segments that are relevant to the startup. And it's usually used for large and well-established markets. So where data on the total market size is actually ready and available. Canada has that. So you can do that by just going through and doing research from the industry reports, market research firms, government agencies. Also, great news is the incubator that you're going to be matched up with, they can also provide that. They can help you with that. You also have to determine the relevant market segment for the startup, which includes the target market and the customer demographic that the startup is targeting. And you calculate your SAM, which I'm sure you guys know, the serviceable available market, by basically multiplying the total market size by the relevant market segment. Then there's the bottom-up approach, which involves starting with the startup target market and customer demographic and building up a market size estimate based on this data. So you already have the data and you already have enough information to build on top of that. So that's what we call the bottom up. This approach is usually used for new or emerging markets where data on the total market size is very limited. To calculate the market size using that, I actually switched it up by my bad. To calculate the market size using this one, you got to identify the target market and customer demographic for the startup. You basically you gather data factors such as like the population size of the province you're in, the country you're in, like Canada, the province, the purchasing power in Canada, which I already talked about in the beginning, and the market demand for that. But in terms of Canada in particular, before moving to it, you got to look into the financials. Are you moving to big or small province? Look into the language. The culture is also important in each province. Like there's the Quebec, which they speak French. The industry that you're in, the government regulations that actually comes in for some of the provinces, some of the cities. Some of the cities are limited. Some of the provinces are limited. Like Ontario is big. So we see a lot of companies moving to Ontario and they will have access to data. So they can just use the government agencies. They can use the industry reports. They can access the KPMG, the EY reports. Everything is there for them to really get an idea of the serviceable, addressable, and the addressable market. So that's how I would usually, do that. And then your incubator will help you a lot with this once you get matched.
Yeah, so you're saying as a government agency, you have the data and startups can get that data from you, right?
Yeah, we come in and we get people very excited about their data. Oh, we are addressing let's just call it students in Canada. Here is the number of students that we have in Canada so far, international versus local domestics. Here are the number of them that are on campus. Here are the number of them that are off campus. We are targeting the one that are off campus based off our data that shows, that there are this many people that are immigrants off campus. There are this many people that are actually domestic, that are from Canada. We have a solution to attract people that are from outside Canada. If they come to the new city, new country, new city, new school, they need access to certain things. Our solution provides this. So we're basically targeting this number of people. Then that information is provided. You can access that. You can find it either on the website of the school. It's literally, research is the king of market size, right? If you do your research, the information is available online, and you can also request it if needed. Especially if it's like publicly allowed to be shared, you can access that information by requesting it, and it gives you an understanding of who you're targeting and what the size is that. As long as it has to be reliable, right?
Yeah.
And you have to be very specific with I want to actually, I hate to also be I find myself sometimes being more of I talk about entrepreneurship and the mistakes that entrepreneurs make versus I talk about SUV. I find people come in and they get so excited about their market size and they throw a huge big number where the addressable market is 1 billion, 3 billion, 40 billion. And the investors gets really thrown off by that and be like, listen, what is your segment? Who are you targeting out of that? Don't give me big numbers. Out of that 1 billion, I'm only targeting this number of people and this size of market. So you have to be very specific. So don't just throw numbers and just talk a big game, like, and throw billions of dollars, and this is what the size of the market is. You have to be very specific.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Ben, for the answer. And before closing the event, do you want anything to add? Anything to add, also both of you? I mean, Ben, Erdem, do you want anything to add before closing the event? Because these are my questions from the chat and Q&A session. I don't see any new questions. So before closing, maybe you can add something else for us.
I
Maybe,
can start.
maybe we can start with
Yeah,
maybe we
I was
can
gonna
start
say
with
you can
you,
start.
Erdem.
I can start.
Yeah. Yes.
Thanks for having us today. It's a pleasure to be with you guys. And you don't have to be frightened to open to the US market, even it seems scary. And it's getting easier day by day. And we're one of the, let's say, enablers to help you with that as Clemta. You can feel free to join us whenever you want. And you can access me on any platform whenever you like, on Twitter or LinkedIn. Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Erdem. Ben, anything else?
Likewise. Well, I got to thank you guys, Hackquarters team, all of you guys putting this together. We've been waiting for this for months. It's been an honor and an absolute pleasure to be on this session. I look forward to more. And I think also for our participants and attendees, it shows determination and courage for people to just consider a new market, coming to from a country to a new one. It's not easy. What I will say is that the beauty of us working with us, or at least collaborating with us, is that we take that fear and that risk out of your calculation in your mind. It's just, hey, what are you looking for? You want to come to Canada, you want to grow in Canada, you want to start a business in Canada. Don't worry about what you have at home. It's all protected, it's all good. But starting a new entity in Canada will come with a cost. It will come with there's a lot of processes involved. So Innova in Canada happened to work with so many companies in, like, let's just ease up the process, right? How do we start? Are you looking just to move to Canada? Are you looking to raise capital in Canada? We find most of you guys look to raise capital because they can't even raise it back home. So that's what I am. I'm your guy for that one. If you're looking to raise money up to $300,000, I can make that happen for you if your startup gets selected. And if you're really determined to move to Canada, you don't have to physically be there, but we can make it work. So that's what we really excel at the most. But if you just want to move in and you don't need capital and you need to be matched with other people and pay minimum, yes, we can also do that. But I find the most attractive one is that, hey, I want capital and I want to move to Canada or grow my business and have an entity in Canada and be free with what I do with it. So I can help with that. And like I said, the process is pretty, it's pretty, what we call it, like it has an immigration side of things and it has also the business side of things. So it can be a little complicated. But with Innova in Canada, it gets very simplified, and we just work with you to support you to move and make that transition and not worry about entering a new market and become part of your success. So as Hackquarters will become part of your success too, because that's who they put this together. So I hope I can be a resource for you during this journey, whether today or in the future. So I look forward to working with you guys, whatever stage you're on and whatever company that you have. I'm happy to connect with you. And I've seen about 12 of you connected with me right now on LinkedIn. So that's a great start.
Yeah, great number. I mean, your insights and your suggestions are very valuable for us, for our startups. And we have been talking with you for a month, also with Erdem and you. The main idea is supporting startups, as you say. Thank you very much for your time, your valuable insights. I would love to thank you for in Canada and Clemta, and kindly remind for our attendees to scan the feedback form. We want your feedbacks. It's valuable for us. And I want to also thank you for Hackquarters team, Esengül, İlayda, and our marketing team, everyone who is behind for this event. Anything else you want to add, Esengül?
Thank you so much, Eren, for your good words and closing. So Thank you everyone. I mean, our great speakers and also the team to make this event happen. I mean, we will be probably doing it again in the next year, let's say, but because I mean, we love those events so much. It's really interactive and it's really engaging. It's really informative as well. So we have great people here like Ben, like Erdem, and hopefully we will be organizing one in the next years as well. So I mean, stay tuned for that. And also thank you everyone again for joining. So let's close it right now. Eren, hope like all the people who joined got their answers and information
Yes.
from this session. So thank you once again.
Have a lovely day. See you all. Bye bye.
You guys, it's a
Bye.
pleasure. Thank you. Thanks. Bye.